snag their controller without them looking. Don't let them know what you're doing because they'll freak out. Grab it and practice. And if you come out like this and it adds texture, think about it. Your kids are getting angry. They got the PS4 controller because losing. They're losing and they're mad, and now their hands are sweaty. Now, like this one here, which I did this one as well, it adds grip. Man, you can hold on to it better. Throw it to your kids, say, there you go. I just made it better for you. You're welcome. Hey crazy kids, this is Jason from Simple Tactics. Today I want to cover a subject that I like. Okay, this one's for stippling. Stippling is a way of taking a tool such as this. This is a wood burning kit. All right, the wood burner has tips that you can screw into it. You have a control valve. Ooh, let me turn that bad boy down before I smoke it. This is to control the heat temperature. And I got at a local hobby store. All right, so with this comes the actual heat itself, the little carrier here to hold it for you, and it comes in a box, and in the box you have tips. So I will pull these tips out, hopefully without dropping them. There we go. Take a look. Tips. Let me put it over here to this camera so I don't. There we go. You should be able to see that. All right, so with these tips, each one has different shapes. I have just a rounded one here now, but you also have ones that are kind of like a flat tip screwdriver, if you will. Let me just pop these bad boys out. Makes it easier. There we go. Look at that. You got this tip right here. What you can do with this tip is make crisscross patterns. I mean, you're limited to your imagination. You can make all kinds of designs. And by designs, I mean making dimples and marks in your plastic. All right, let's take this for example. Take a look at this bad boy. This is a shell of a PS4 controller. This is how I practice. I recommend you practice on things like this and or a PMAG if you have PMAGs at your house. PMAGs have a good hard plastic. This is good hard plastic, and you can practice on making your own designs before you go to the real deal. The real deal, and the whole purpose really, is to add texture to your pistol, and that's what you want. So I'll go over that a little bit more in detail there. So your kids probably have a PS4 or even an Xbox. Snag their controller without them looking. Don't let them know what you're doing because they'll freak out. Grab it and practice. And if you come out like this and it adds texture, think about it. Your kids are getting angry. They got the PS4 controller because losing. They're losing and they're mad, and now their hands are sweaty. Now, like this one here, which I did this one as well, it adds grip. Man, you can hold on to it better. Throw it to your kids, say, there you go. I just made it better for you. You're welcome. And that helps. And you got to practice. So practice, as they say, makes perfect. With the PMAG, you have several little sections like this in here. You can practice on there. I would recommend you not do any stippling up in here. This goes into your magazine well. You don't need any obstructions or any issues because you stippled it and made weird things at it, okay? So don't do that. Before you start, I would recommend that you get a fan. Some kind of small fan, doesn't have to be big. All you're doing is using the fan to blow air and take the vapors from melting the plastic away from your face. You don't want it going into your face. It's just troublesome, probably not healthy for you, so that's my recommendation. All right? So with the controller, now that I've turned it down, hopefully it's not too great. I almost smoked the thing. Another tool that you can use, I use a Dremel tool, okay? And I'll get into details on the pistol, but on the pistol itself, you have areas where you want to Dremel to give yourself a flat, nice, smooth canvas, if you will, to make your dots. This Dremel tool tip is basically a round drum sandpaper. Works fantastic. It's spinning at a good RPM. Don't go too crazy with it. And you can smooth out different parts of your pistol. All right, so create a good canvas. And I'll show you another little trick with that as well here in a second when I show you the pistol. So, PMAGs, like I said, they're great. They work good. You can create your own texture in a PMAG. Get good at making your dots or crisscross patterns, whatever you want to do. Get good at it before you go to the real deal. All right. So be careful with what you're doing. This I shouldn't have to tell you this, but hey, it's hot. It's gonna burn you, all right? Common sense. These are not hard to do. When you stipple, let me put the old guy glasses on before I do this. That's right, I'm getting older. I need glasses. Cheaters. You're gonna laugh, check it out. Sexy, yeah. All right. Place your object down on the ground, on the table, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing this. A dot. You don't have to be straight up and down. You can go at an angle. Not a big deal. It's not hard to do. Not rocket science. And I'm not going to go in straight lines or anything like that. I'm going to just make sure that the dots eventually connect. All right, so here we go. Obviously, the harder you push, the further it will go. The longer you keep it in place, the further it will go. So just be careful of that. You don't want to go through. I'm not holding it on for very far, or for very long, I'm sorry. I'm just doing simple dots here. Some of them are a little bit bigger than others. Now let's say you don't touch, you mess up. Let's say I go over here, then I go over here, then I go over here. Well, you can still come right in here and right in here and reconnect the dot. It's not a big deal. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. You're creating texture regardless of how you're doing it. Not a big deal. I can come back over here, keep going over here. Just like that. Doesn't take much. And look, I can put my finger right on it. It's not hurting anything. And it's already got good texture. Another thing I would recommend that you grab would be sandpaper. The reason I say that is sometimes these dots will get a little, maybe too aggressive for what you want. So then you can take sandpaper and kind of smooth it out a little bit. Go a little bit at a time. Don't go directly, just go crazy. Little at a time. Work your way, keep feeling it, see if you like it. If you get to the point where it feels good to you, you're good. Problem solved. And now you have created a great way of getting better grip on your pistol. So practice on these things, PS4 controllers, find plastic items that are hard, and go with it. All right, so take a look at this pistol here. And I think what I'll do is go ahead and I will remove this for you. I don't need you having this. All right, so with that, if you see the stippling, I did it all the way around. So I have stippling in the back strap on all sides. Now this used to be set up where it had its factory texturing that's embedded in it. You had factory texturing in the back strap and the trigger grooves here. And so what I did was I took that, like I said, this same Dremel tool that I showed you earlier, and I just smoothed it all out. The other thing I added, a little more custom work here, is I grooved out right here. This is my trigger guard. So with the trigger guard, I slowly just took my time and smoothed it out and gave myself a finger groove. What I like is that I can take my finger a little further up, right? So I'm a little higher up in my receiver. The higher up, the more stable your hand will be in the pistol. The other groove is for my support hand, so that goes right in here. So now I have a good grip on the pistol. I have all this texturing to help keep my hand in place. When it's hot outside, you're sweating, sweaty palms, I don't shoot with gloves. I never shoot with gloves. I just don't like it. It's just me, all right? So I am here, got my finger in the grooves, and there I am. I have good grip. So it's a real handy way of making your pistol more effective and stable. That's what you want. So I would recommend you try it out on all these practice pieces. Go to the real deal. Now you want to map everything out, map it all out. So consider what you're not going to texture as well. Under here, you'll see I kept it smooth. You want to keep it smooth there because you don't want your hand getting ground up by the stippling. This part of your hand's a little sensitive. You don't need to do that. Same thing with the finger grooves. I did not do anything in here as far as stippling because I don't want it rubbing my fingers raw. So that's another thing to consider, and make sure you keep it all nice and smooth in that area. So these are things you want to think about. And I'm the type that I like to keep the Glock symbol in there. So I didn't stipple over that. I didn't sand it out. I left it there, left it alone. It's kind of a nice touch. Another thing, don't stipple in here with your triggers and stuff like that. You don't need to stipple any of that. Don't mess with it. You're going to mess with the performance if you do. All right, so be careful with that. Another thing, take a look at your magazine catch. All right, right here you got your button on the other side. It comes in and out right here. You want to make sure, if you can, if you have the ability, remove this. Take it out. I took mine out. You may want to go to a gunsmith and say, hey, can you take this out for me? I'm going to stipple it, and I'll have you put it back in later. You know, it's not a big deal. Because if you start stippling and you get too close to these areas, and especially on this side, you could accidentally create problems here in the plastic. You could push plastic over into that spot, and now your magazine catch, it won't follow all the way through. You won't be able to come out. It gets stuck. So you don't want that. You're hindering the performance, essentially. So be careful of that. Think about these things before you start hitting it. Take a good look at everything, figure out what you want to do with it, and then go from there. And take your time. So for those of you who have done this before, we would more than welcome the design patterns that you've come up with. So post it. Let us know. Show us what you've got. If you have questions, always ask us. We're always here for you. All the tools of the trade, we'll put them like in Amazon. We'll find some for you in Amazon that work, and we'll give you a link to it like we always do. We like to help you out. We like to help everybody. So if you have any questions, like I said, or comments, let us know, and we'll be glad to answer them. Take a look at your ideas too. I love people's ideas. Some of you out there are crazy good artists, and you have awesome imaginations, and we learn from you. Okay, so that's what we want. So I would definitely welcome any positive criticism. Nothing crazy. Don't go crazy on us, or we'll block you. I'm just saying. But give us ideas and what you think. Appreciate your time, and God bless.